Thank you, Jonas. So here on stage we have essentially three suppliers, in the sense engineering firm, two hardware suppliers to the robotics industry, and the startup. And I just wanted to start the discussion, focus the discussion a bit on the cooperation between startups and suppliers. So my first question to Kevin and to Mario is, where do you see the main challenges for you as supplier in working with startups? Is it, sort of the customization that you have to do for them, or where is the main challenge? Maybe Mario, you start.
Yeah, that's a cool question. I think the biggest challenge, or the difference that causes most of the frictions, is speed, right? Startups, they always want to move fast, they have their technology stack, their ideas, and the established supplier is much more focused on the process, on operational excellence, on getting stuff reliably scalable out the door. And now you have to bridge this gap somehow, right? You have to bootstrap the startup with their idea such that they can achieve product market fit as quickly as possible. The challenge, or the good thing when working with a large industrial supplier, is that you can scale up quickly once you have it established, right? But to get there, to bridge this speed gap, and it's a different culture in the end, right? The big company is focused on revenue, on profit margins, on operations, on operational excellence, and the startup has a whole different set of culture. Bridging this is the fun stuff, yes.
Do you see that similarly, Kevin?
I fully agree to the point of speed and pace that startup companies to have, and that's kind of the challenge we need to face. Of course, also the effort you need to put into the joint development with such a startup. Probably there's not too much experience with selecting the right drive systems or doing the development. So they have an idea, they have a vision, and they want to bring that to market quite fast. And for us, of course, the speed and bringing in this experience and this effort to support them is one of the challenges we see. And of course, also there's a certain risk. Yeah? You put effort into it, but later you have no guarantee that the startup will then scale up. So yeah.
And do you have specific criterion you apply to select, a partner for a joint development, or?
No, let's say we support everyone, but of course, when it comes to customization, then there needs to be some proof or some security that in the end it's an effort that also has a return on investment for sure. Good.
And Jonas, I mean, you come from the engineering side, so I guess you specify quite a lot. You don't manufacture yourself, but in a development with a startup, you would specify a lot and go to the OEMs, to the motor suppliers. How do you see that cooperation working out?
With the startups or with the OEMs?
Yeah, with the OEMs in this case.
So, I mean, there it's also, again, the speed. So, I mean, we try to develop at the speed of a startup or of any company. So, in innovation, we also have our speed. So, at the end, we have similar challenges also with OEMs from a development. So, we always have to quickly develop first prototypes, make feasibilities. But on the other hand, we're also used to the long cycle. So, I think we manage short-term solutions, but in parallel startup quite early looking at long-term solutions. I think that's how we manage that one also with larger companies.
And in the last 3-4 years, we have seen enormous acceleration in robotic development, particularly mobile robotics. How has that impacted your own development programs or cycles? Were you forced to accelerate internal development, Mario, or is it business as usual? Is it more just delivering at larger scale?
No, certainly not. So yes, it has accelerated, and we're especially talking about the global scale, right? It has really accelerated across the globe. The question is, how do you accelerate? Which parts of development do you accelerate, right? There you have to be very conscious about which parts of the company that you accelerate. Do you accelerate the long-established components business, let's say, or do you accelerate more the soft factors, software that you can do with customers, consulting that you can do with customers? So there you have to make sure that you're picking the right levers you can activate to make sure you keep up.
Okay. Similar for you?
Similar for us. I mean, I just presented it with our new joint actuator that we just showed today. that was the biggest hurdle to bring that to market very fast. Yeah, so we definitely had to think about how to speed up our processes. Yeah, where do we see things that are nice to have but are not a must in the development, or which could be done later as well? So yeah, that's definitely something we had to address.
Okay. I think for me what would be interesting is to hear from all of you whether you see already use cases, let's say commercial use cases other than dancing or playing football or doing push-ups. For humanoids, have you already seen that or faced that?
So,
Yeah, Jonas.
well, it's interesting. So use cases, we don't see so many, but what we see is that this humanoid hype in quite established companies suddenly brings robotics on a completely different level on the table. And now companies who are conservative companies, for example, construction industry where automation is far behind, suddenly they want to jump 3 generations and jump to humanoids, so to solve all their problems. And I think there we see the discussion which brings up suddenly helps not with humanoid applications, but then for other, let's say, automation topics. So there I see, well, not an application of humanoids, but how humanoids impact real-world applications.
Okay. Mario, maybe from your side, without revealing customer secrets.
I mean, all of us, we're aware of maybe a handful of such cases, right? Where you see, okay, this could work out in a real-life application. So it's at the very, very, very beginning still, right? And you could even take a step back, and my history is also with quadrupeds, right? You can think about the quadruped. It's a simpler system, it's a safer system, has been around for a decade now. How many real-life quadruped applications are there? It's also a bit a mixed picture, right? We're still finding its place. Yeah, the dynamics of the last 2-3 years has been crazy, and it's still ongoing. We're still in the middle of it.
Yeah. I mean, we see that some of the manufacturers also from Asia, but not just, are just pushing out those robots at competitive prices, and so is in the expectation that people buy them and then figure out what to do with them. Right? I think that's the strategy there. Right. Absolutely. So this was supposed to be an interactive panel. Last time I checked on Slido, there weren't too many questions. I don't know whether anyone in the audience has a burning question he would like to ask, so that would be the moment now. So please, if you do, just stand up and talk as loud as you can.
Otherwise, maybe I have a question for you, Alex. Raf D'Andreo, he gave a talk recently in Zurich, and he said one downside of this hype in humanoids is that nowadays it doesn't count anymore whether you have a good product, but whether you are good and quick with fundraising. So there is a disconnect between having a great product that actually works and being a company that is just good at raising funds, right? How do you see, is this an actual downside of this, let's call it hype, or is it a valid concern?
Absolutely. I mean, this is it's a typical hype cycle. So where mankind, it's not the first time we've done that, a few times over the last 200 years of economic history, over-invested in something with inflated expectations, unrealistic expectations, and then we had, if you look, for example, at the history of electrification of Switzerland, so many private electric networks have been built because some entrepreneurs believed everybody needs and is able to pay for electricity, and ultimately it didn't happen, and those electric networks went bankrupt and were taken over by the cantons, and that's how we ended up with communal and cantonal electric infrastructure. So it was an overinvestment in one point of time. And then finally, adoption caught up with the infrastructure that was available. And I think that's similar here with the humanoids. We have inflated expectations. I won't blame it on Disney, but Star Wars certainly creates also some of those, images that people think. I mean, today someone told me, yeah, he had a hotel manager calling him and saying, I want 10 humanoids, I want to replace my entire cleaning room service crew. That's just inflated expectations. It's not going to happen for the next 5 or 10 years. So And yeah, I'm not claiming I'm much smarter than everybody else, but I think there is a bit of a herd effect in the venture capital industry as well, so that if some people convincingly tell a story, that everybody starts investing in the same thing. Jonas, we didn't ask you too many questions. Where do you see the let's say the next step, the biggest potential for robotics to create value?
So yeah, I mean, I see it on a different scale or on various scales. I mean, on one hand, as I mentioned, so construction industry, agriculture industry, where I think I see huge potential, not for humanoids, but for general various robotic applications, which also today I think sustainability robotics shows also the potential there. And then on the other hand is also in the flexibility also in manufacturing. We are used to AMRs nowadays, we are used to static robotic arms, but I think now it's coming together, and humanoid is the top of the peak, but there are many steps in between where I see very interesting applications and bringing together hardware and also software.
Okay, great. Any other points? Otherwise, I guess the apéro is waiting outside, so we will leave you. Thank you all for joining this last session of the day, and hope to see you again at the next robotics conference.